There are only 4 main types of businesses. So your business is one of these 4. And understanding what shape my business was has allowed me to develop a portfolio of companies that generate over $250 million a year at acquisition.com. And so if you have a business, you need to know what shape your business really is to maximize the opportunity you're in. And if you don't have a business, you should know what you're getting into so you can pick the right one for you. This is the shape of an e-commerce business. This is why the shape of this business looks this way. So if you want to have a bigger business like a brand, you're going to have to do some sort of inventory. You'll have to front a little bit of cash, right? But as soon as you start selling, because it doesn't require a lot of operational infrastructure, you can grow really quickly. But then you'll hit these breaking points that stop your growth flat. And so either these will be cash constraints in the business, as in like you don't have enough money to buy more inventory. It could be traffic constraints, like all of a sudden your ads just stop. It could be that you've maxed out your distribution. Let's say if you're a retail distribution, it's like, okay, we got 7,000 more 7-Elevens. It's like, okay. And then we continue to stay at that level until we get CVS's, and then we stay at that next level. And so each of these kind of unlocks typically occur when you have a supply chain unlock or you have distribution that unlocks. So distribution can be literally physical retail distribution, or it can be ad-based and or affiliate-based distribution. All of these different ways are promoting it so it gets it in more hands. And you also can get stopped by all of a sudden you run out of stuff, right? Your supply chain dries up because your manufacturer can only do 1,000 units a day and you need 10,000 units a day. And so while you find the next manufacturer, you're flat again, right? And this is the nature of the business that you're really in. And so the reason that this video is so important before I dive into all the other 4 is that most people think that there is something inherently wrong with their business when it is in reality a feature of this business, not a bug. The more you can zero in on, okay, if these are the big hairy problems that exist within the shape of my business, how do I put disproportionate effort on solving these key foundational issues or problems to this model that will allow me to outcompete all the other people in my space that don't know this. And I'm telling you, like, this is the sauce. If you're curious, what, experience do I have with e-commerce? Well, I'll give you 2. First off, Prestige Labs was a physical products business. We sold through a brick and mortar distribution base. We also sold through an online store. So we had both those angles. I had distributors, obviously our gyms, any consumers could buy directly from the store. So we had ads that were running as well. And so both those elements were e-commerce. In addition to that, the launches that we had for my last book, the Guinness World Record breaking book, this is literally e-commerce. It's a physical product that gets bought through a store and then shipped out, like very straightforward. And also sometimes you'll have to switch 3PLs as you scale too. So even if you have the inventory, somebody might not be able to ship out 10,000 orders a day. Like when we did the book launch for me, I had to find 3PLs who could ship out millions in 72 hours. That's absolutely absurd, which is why we had to have multiple across different states in order to make sure that every single person got their book within days, not weeks or even months. I talked a little bit about the cons, but let's talk about the pros of this. So e-commerce, it can scale relatively fast compared to some of the other business models. And the reason for that is once you have the stuff, I mean, it's really just like how fast can you hand it to somebody in exchange for money? And if you have, a Shopify store or a WooCommerce store, any kind of online store, like they can just click and buy, and then you have somebody else who's shipping it straight to them. As long as they can ship it and they can buy, you can sell a lot of them. The issues is when you run out of stuff, the guys can't produce it, you can't get raw materials, they can't ship enough of them. These become the constraints. But fundamentally, if you're operating within all of those, as in they can ship more than you have, you've got enough inventory, as long as people keep buying, the number just goes straight up. That's e-commerce. What's this puppy? So this is the puppy that 78% of businesses in the United States are based on, look like this because they are slow and steady. So if I wanted to make it a little bit more accurate, I would have drawn it more like a straight line because this one's taller, but I only had this much space. All right, but it's a slow and steady growth curve. Why does it look like that? It looks like this because service businesses are very easy to start because they cost nothing. At the very beginning, you literally just sell your time, which is why it's the most common business that people do start. They learn one thing and then they start doing that work for other people. Very simple. But then once you learn that thing, the better you get at that thing, the harder it is to get more people who are as good as you at that thing, which makes it like the more you can charge, the harder it is to get more people that you can charge that money for and still deliver that quality. This is the inherent difficulty with service-based businesses. I'll give you two polar examples here. Gym is a service-based business, right? Pros of that particular type of business is that it's easy to hire that talent because one, it's low skill, and two, many people love it. It's almost like hiring musicians. Plenty of people would do it for free. They coach classes for free. They're passionate about fitness. Where it's more difficult in that business is it's very hard to, number one, sell, and number two, retain customers because people don't like working out. Now, on the flip side, vast majority of service businesses are people doing work that other people don't want to do. And so the fitness coaching business is unique in that it is coaching. The vast majority of service businesses, there is no coaching. You just do the work, right? You fix the roof, you put in the garage, you do the accounting for them, you do the legal work, you build the website for them, right? So for any of those businesses, it's actually very easy to do the sale because you say, I'm going to give you the outcome and you don't have to do anything, right? And so if you're actually good, almost all service businesses, when they are done for you service businesses, almost never, if they're any good, have a problem getting customers. The difficulty they have is hiring good talent. So you want to invest your cash in two core places. Number one is going to be talent, meaning you want better, smarter people who are coming in. So the raw materials that are coming in, we want to increase the quality of those raw materials. Now, we still have the training that we have, but if you're training a genius versus training a dodo bird, training the genius is still going to work better. So we want higher base level people, higher horsepower, higher intelligence. If we look at the ultimate versions of some of the highest grossing service businesses out there, what do they all have? They have unbelievable talent machines and they attract the best and brightest, right? So number one is that you're going to be reinvesting money into the recruiting side of the business so you can get the best talent. The other side that you're going to be putting money into is going to be brand, right? Now, brand is going to benefit in both places. One, it's going to allow you to charge premium prices over time. And it's also going to allow you to attract premium level talent because they want the association. They have their own personal brand. They want their association with your brand. Now, the way that I can see how scaled up or how progressed an entrepreneur is in the service business is actually with one metric, which is what they charge. So think about how interesting. So I'll explain why I think this is a very interesting, like North Star metric. If you do a good job at what you do, then you should have a supply constraint in your business because more people want your services. If more people want your services and you're supply constrained, what happens? Well, if we're supply constrained and we have more demand than we have supply, what should we do? We should raise our prices. And as we raise our prices, we should increase our gross margins. And as long as we have good training and we can maintain our reputation, what happens? More customers come in, more demand, and then we can continue to raise our prices. And so it should be a process of consistently being able to raise price over time and go after better and better avatars, better and better ICPs, if you want to use that language, ideal customer profile, I think that stands for. Basically the type of customer that you're going after, right? The prospects. You want better and better people who can stroke bigger and bigger checks. And the only way to do that is to typically have the track record, having done this for years and continuing to level up. And you can only do that if you're good because you have more demand than you have supply. And that's the game that you ultimately want to be in. So that's shape number 2. Drum roll, please. That brings us to shape number 3. So quick guess, what do you think this is? This is an education consulting infomedia business. My credibility around information businesses is that I happen to own a software platform that allows people to start information businesses called School. And so I have access to quite literally millions of data points in terms of what makes this business work and what doesn't. This shape scales faster than any other of the 4 shapes. You can notice that it's almost a straight line up. And so this business makes money quickly. And then it hits a hard stop where it becomes very difficult to make more money from there. So why is it shaped this way? So one of the most difficult parts about information or education related businesses is that there's low retention, right? If you do a good job educating someone, they graduate. Once someone graduates, they leave, which means that you always have to fill up the business again. And if you're good at something, you usually get this quick shot up because people know you're good at it. So you can quickly charge a lot of money to a handful of people and actually deliver that value because people know you're good at that thing. And then very quickly you make money. But then you're like, oh shoot, I graduated all those people. What do? I got to get more customers. Right? And the other side of this that is kind of bad is that once I teach someone really well how to do that thing, what stops them from selling the exact same thing that I just taught them? Almost nothing, right? And so these are this is why the shape is shaped this way, because more entrants, if you teach more people, starts putting this downward pressure. So you've got downward pressure in that people are exiting, and you've got more competitors that are always entering the market because it's very easy to, 1, create competition. Number 2, start an education business because it costs almost nothing if you have the skill. So what's good about this? Because that sounded a little bit, negative in terms of the shape. You're like, why would I want to stop, here, right? Well, the great thing is that there's fast initial cash. There's very few businesses that can get you out of, poverty as quick as this. I say there's almost nothing that's as fast as this. And I'll tell you one thing that I've learned about humans over my many years in business is that people love fast. All right. And it's also one of the easier ones. So fast and easy, very compelling value proposition. And I'll give you the third value proposition. It's also cheap. So fast, easy, cheap to start. Wow. Very compelling. Now, when you have something that's fast, easy, and cheap to start, what's the downside of that? Well, lots of competitors, it's also fast, easy, and cheap for them to start. The reason that education can make so much money so quickly is that if you have a valuable skill and that skill is unique and difficult to acquire in the marketplace, then you can charge a big amount of money for something that actually costs you very little. It costs you a lot of money and time to acquire the skill one time for you, but then you get to duplicate that skill through the education over and over again through other people. And so I'll just use simple math here. If I can teach someone a skill that takes them from $40,000 a year to $100,000 a year, many people would pay lots of money to add $60,000 of income per year for the rest of their life. That's an unbelievable valuable proposition. And what would somebody be willing to pay for that? A lot. The education industry at large, I think the last time I checked, is like 10 trillion globally. It's a very big industry. So one of the best branding strategies that you can have is real world proof, right? If you took everything that Warren Buffett has taught between every single public appearance and you turned it into a course and you said how to invest for the long term, how many people would want to buy it? Probably not that many. You could make it even better than Warren Buffett, all of his stuff. The only thing you forgot to do was build Berkshire fucking Hathaway that did $89 billion in profit last year. That's what you forgot to do, starting at age 7 and doing it for like 100 years, almost literally. All right. And so he has the real world proof. And so if you want to win in education, the best way to start is be better than everyone. All the businesses I just described, the fewest number of businesses are in software. And it's because the barriers to entry are higher. Why does it suck? Very slow start. Founders often quit early. Very high burn in terms of cash before you start having money. And even when you do make money, you're still burning more than you're making because of how software works, because of its infinite scale, the vast majority of people are not willing to pay a lot of money for it. The amount that you have to do to get $9 a month from a person, speaking from experience, is a lot, right? Think about Netflix, which is a combination of media and kind of software. They have to entertain the world and make world-class, shows. They have to make The Witcher. They have to make these unbelievable shows just so they can get their $10 a month. And they go to 13 and people are like, I'm leaving, right? Outrageous, $13. What are these people talking about, right? And so people's willingness to pay because they know there's almost no incremental cost is very low, which means you have to have tremendous volume to actually make real money. Now, the advantage is it can handle that volume, but it sure as hell is hard to get 100 million customers, right? And so it can become very emotionally difficult for this long period of time where it basically never makes money. And so then you have dependency on VCs, or you have to just watch your bank account go down month after month after month in order to maintain as much equity as you can so you don't dilute yourself to the point where finally it does succeed and you own 4% of the business. And that there's more, scar stories behind that than I can possibly tell you. So what's the problem that you have to solve? Number one is you have to survive their early years before product market fit. This is the biggest issue. And this is where marketers basically just can't do software. It's just like, it's incredibly hard for them to do because they want to market, they want to sell it. But in order for this thing to actually become big, you have to make sure that people want it and keep wanting it. It have to stick. And so not only do they have to buy, they have to keep using it. And so that is the hardest part of doing it. I was listening to an interview by the Dropbox founder, and he was talking about how he used to pay people from Craigslist to come in and just use his product in front of him. And he said the first time they did it, 5 out of 5 people who used it didn't upload a file because they couldn't figure it out. And so that is the kind of just raw work you have to keep doing. And it's like, maybe it takes them another 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get the next user flow going. And then they have to get more people in front of them. And then those people still don't figure it out. And you keep doing that until eventually you're like, oh my God, they uploaded a file. And then from there, we're like, okay, well now they didn't come back. Shit. So then we have to fix that loop. And so there's many loops that have to get completely lubricated within the user experience of the business so they can actually deliver core value. And you have to do that as fast as humanly possible. And so within the software world, there's a great interview or a presentation that the head of growth at Facebook said, and he drew this line. And he said, people think growth looks like this. He said, growth actually looks like this. So what does he mean by that? He means that users start, they get activated, and then they never churn. That is what growth looks like. Because if you can retain a certain percentage of customers forever, then it means all you do is you can just keep filling in the front end, but then that base level just keeps sticking and growing and growing and growing. And that is how software companies become incredibly valuable. So the biggest problem you have to solve is, number one, making a product that people want to buy. And number two, making sure that they keep buying it. They keep coming back. They keep spending money on it. That's the issue. So revenue retention is, if I have 10 customers that pay me $10 a month, that means that I'm making $100 a month. A year later, am I still making $100 a month from those initial customers? Now, I might have lost a few of those customers, but if some of those other customers spend more money, because we build our software in such a way that we have the opportunity for them to spend more, if we have more than $100 from those original customers, we have 100% or greater revenue retention. That's the game you want to be. The reason I wanted to go over these in so much depth is that every business has features and bugs, like I said earlier. And one of the big mistakes that I'll see businesses do at different levels, and I'm talking not just like, $1 million or 10 million, but I see $30 million, $50 million, $100 million businesses come with similar issues, which is their complaint will be a core feature of the business. And they will say, there's something wrong with my business because I'm struggling with supply chain issues. I'm struggling with cash flow as we're scaling too quickly. Or I'm really supply constrained because it's really hard to find good people. Or, you know what, getting customers is tough. Like, ad spend is going up and it's costing me more to get customers every single year, and ads don't really work like they used to. Or, it's really expensive to do this company and we're burning a ton of money and we're just hoping we can make it to our next round, but we're not keeping customers as long as we really need to. We're not hitting our revenue retention goals. Every one of these businesses has features, all right? These are the core hairy problems that make these businesses. And so as soon as you can identify, one, there's nothing wrong with your business, this is the core struggle that creates the model that you chose to get into.